Okay. What is going on, guys? Welcome to Stock Talk with Nico Criticos. Today, we are going to be doing some stock analysis for RH stock because I came across this today. It was down, what, 6, almost 7% earlier. And I started a position in this just because the way I see it relative to where the stock has traded, what their future earnings are going to be, what's currently hurting their profitability. I see this as a good entry point into the stock with the possibility for this to either go up a lot from here or go down a lot from here. And even if this stock could very well go to 120 or $100 a share, and if that happens, then I will buy more shares. And at that point, I would say about $100 a share is roughly would be the bottom for this stock. If it traded less, under 100 a share, that would be kind of ridiculous. And I just don't see that happening because there's already a good amount of bad news priced in. The stock trades much cheaper than where it normally trades. And so that's why I started a position in this. If you don't know, Restoration Hardware is a luxury furniture company. As you can see here, this is what some of their products look like. And the problem with this, there's a couple things that have been hurting this company. One of them is tariffs. And so since Trump put tariffs on these companies or on these countries like Vietnam and China, that has not been good for Restoration Hardware. RH sources roughly 70% of its products from Asia, with about 39% from Vietnam and 13% from China. Approximately 20% comes from North America, with the other 10% coming from Europe and other countries. Management targeted increasing U.S. production for upholstered furniture significantly to mitigate overseas exposure. So that's one piece of good news, which we probably have yet to see the financial benefit of that yet, but that's one piece of it. Then the other thing is my stance on Trump and the tariffs is that either he's going to take them off, right, in with some sort of negotiation deal with these countries. He's either going to take them off or lower them, something, or worst case scenario, in 2 years from now we have a new administration and they take it off. So that's the way I see it. It is ultimately they're going to be coming off or getting much lower. It's just a matter of time and a matter of how he wants to make these deals and all that stuff. But I don't see that being a long-term problem. I think the tariffs are going to come off. So if we have to wait 2 years, we have to wait 2 years. But really, there's a good chance that they're going to get lowered before then. Proposed and enacted tariffs such as duties reaching up to 30% on these imported goods, 50% on kitchen and bathroom have strained margins. So we have the tariffs. The other piece of this is that the housing market has just not been strong relative to where it was 5 years ago. You go back 5 years, this stock was $700 a share. And that's because the market was booming back then. So then 2022, it had a huge drop. And since then, it hasn't really done much. They're in 2025 or 24, there was a little bit of a recovery. And then once he put those tariffs on last year, the stock went all the way down to $145. And that's where we're at today. So then we look at sourcing shifts driven by tariff changes, increased back order and special order by about $75 million earlier this year, lowering net revenue by roughly 45 million. Then the management has leaned on targeted pricing actions, logistics rerouting, and vendor diversification to avoid this. Okay, so that's the tariff situation, which again is not going to be a long-term problem. They already found new places to source from, and going forward, we should see that benefit their earnings. Then we have the fact that this year they've also been expanding internationally, where they already started, one location in Milan back in April. Then they have one coming to London and Paris. Okay, so that's also an expensive thing that's going to be hurting their numbers. Okay, so if you don't know, again, luxury lifestyle, home brand positioning. Okay, they're a furniture company. Their moat. They have created a distinct ecosystem combining physical design galleries, hospitality, trade services, and luxury experiences. Their pricing power high at the upper end of the consumer spectrum, but vulnerable to macro trends. And again, it's expensive stuff. You have some competition, but I mean, this is again, it's a higher end brand. Most brands are, don't charge that much, so they're going to have higher margins. And like we said, not right now. That's the thing. Let's look at their margins really quick. So they normally have pretty good margins, right? You look at profit margin, a couple years ago, it was 21%. Last quarter, it was negative. So this is like as worse as it could possibly get. Gross margins, typically 53%. Now we're down to 41%. And then ROI was, 20% a couple years ago. Now we're down to 9. Okay. So that's that. Now, what is currently affecting the business? Like we said, the housing market. Multi-year high mortgage rates have severely depressed luxury home sales, global expansion costs. They've been expanding into Europe, and then the supply chain and tariff costs. Sourcing shifts to mitigate supply, blah, blah, blah. Execution over the next 3 years. The bull case is that they successfully scale into Europe. They have monetization of RH ecosystem, meaning RH estates and trade interior design programs, unlock new revenue streams, and then a housing recovery, which the housing thing is kind of like a cyclical, like at some point in the next couple of years, we'll see interest rates change and the demand for housing change. And, that's just kind of, it kind of just fluctuates. The bear case for this is that they have debt. They have, let's see, the high-end real estate remains sluggish, and their overhead costs fail to achieve expected revenue. Okay. So their debt is not good, right? They have over 2 billion in debt, barely any cash. But again, that's because they're expanding internationally with new locations. They've had to take on a bunch of problems in terms of, sourcing and fixing the supply chain issues. So my thoughts on this is when they get back to, let's say $200 million plus of net income, then they'll be able to slowly start paying this off. And although, I agree that see I mean they did have over 200 million in free cash flow. So even that number could probably get up to 300 million or so. But I mean, you have to look at it like, yes, it's not good. They have over 2 billion in debt, but they should be able to pay it off as their earnings go back to where they should be. So Gemini has this as their guidance or their projections for the next couple of years. Sales growth is not supposed to be great this year. We're looking at 5% this year and then 8.5% next year, so it should get better. Then the important thing here, though, is the net income. So what we see here is that EPS is supposed to drop pretty significantly this year and then have a huge jump back up to $9 a share next year. Net income wise, we're looking at about 200 million next year, which is again almost a 100% jump from what it's supposed to be this year, and then a $250 million net income for 2028. And that's where I see it. Like if you look at the history of the PE ratio in this stock, at worst case scenario, it trades 10 times. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a very volatile stock. The PE has been all over the place, going from 10 times earnings all the way up to 200. So, which again, I mean, this is not common either, 200 times earnings, but neither is 10 times earnings. 10 times earnings, that shouldn't even be that common. Okay, I mean, 2022 is when we had a huge crash. So unless we have a huge market crash, we probably won't see 10 times earnings. But 15 times earnings is pretty realistic, right? So even if we were to see 15, I mean, it traded down to 17 this year. So 15 times earnings or so is pretty realistic. And so if that happens, then we're looking at that would put the stock at about where we're at right now. That's what makes me think this is a good entry price, because this very well could be the bottom, even though it was just trading at 113 earlier this year. Right here, I mean, any point around this 110 to 140 mark could very well be the bottom for the stock. So that's the way I see it. But really, if you look at the P ratio, like, where it normally, I mean, it goes all over the place, but it could easily trade up to 40 times earnings, right? So, 15 on the low end, 50 on the high end. I mean, I would take a 25 or a 30 PE for this. And then if they do $9 EPS, I mean, that's what makes me think the stock will easily be able to go back to over $200 a share. It could take a year or two, but I think it could easily be 200, 250 a share, and then I'll make a good amount of money. So that's kind of the way I see that. And then we could take a look at some more of their graphs here. We looked at margin. Shares outstanding has been pretty good. They bought back 5% of shares, so that's nice. And we went through the debt. EPS should recover. Free cash flow is not doing terrible, really. And then that's pretty much it. So my thing is just, you have to notice the tariffs, the housing market, and their international expansion. Those are the three things that are temporary, could last for 12 months or 18 months, but they're temporary. And as the market sees past that, or we get some good news in, then the sentiment's going to change and the P ratio is going to go up. So that's the way I see that. But those three things that are holding down the business are kind of, they're just temporary things. And the international expansion, that's actually going to be turn into a profit increasing thing in the future. So that's why I like that, and that is why I am bullish on RH. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I will see you in the next video.